Hi, Aquarius. Welcome to your 2024 in review. This is going to be for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You could certainly have planets in the sign of Aquarius. Many of you are guided to the reading, and you may not know why. I feel like that's when you really just want to trust your intuition, like your guides probably sent you. Um, really, I just feel like it's forever shows up. So we're doing 2024 in review, but what I decided to do is break it down into seasons. So we're going to start with January, February, and March. I was calling it winter in review and then realized not everyone's having winter. We have people from all over the world. So welcome. Um, so we're doing January, February, and March. And the reason why I'm breaking it down into seasons, just so you know, is because I feel like if I did the whole year, first of all, I feel like you'd forget about most of it. But I don't know. I just feel like we can get a lot more info if we do it per month. So January, February, March. Now, why am I doing this? First of all, we're moving into new year. And it is a universal year 8. It's going to be an important number, guys. I feel like this is a year where, like, financially, you can really excel. Actually, let me tell you what I wrote down about a number 8. Many of you have already heard this, but some of you haven't. So I want to at least let you know what to look for or what a universal year 8 is calling for. So 8 is associated with wealth, power, influence, ambitions, your capability, and ultimately, I feel like at the end of the day, what it's showing you is how strong you really are. It's going to be a time of huge transformations, but we want to learn to embrace these transformations because anything that is transforming, it's going to be for your benefit. So understanding that this is also a year where there are going to be rises and falls. Same thing. I feel like when there's a fall, when you feel like you're at the bottom of the wheel, there's a lesson in there. And if you look at it that way, like, okay, I'm down here for a reason. Why am I here? What can get me back out? Well, I got to seek the light. Um, and, again, if we just understand that, like the transformations or what feels like a fall is actually there to help benefit you this year. So, keep that in mind. This is also the year as you make the wealth, share the wealth. If you can, when I say wealth, it means different things for different people, but boy, do I feel like this is a year that if I'm looking to become wealthy and I'm willing to put the work behind it, I feel like I can become wealthy this year. So, and then I want you to look at your personal year number for this year. And how you're going to go about figuring that out if you don't know yet is take the day you were born plus the month you were born, the day and the month, not the year. Add that together, bring it to a singular digit if you have to. If it adds up to like 11, 12, 13, 14, bring it to a single digit and then add that to the number 8. That's your personal year. Um, so that'll just give you even a little bit more information, like how can I like really just take all the goods that the Universal Year 8 wants to give us. Um, this is also a time, if we remember that we run in 9-year cycles, that we're coming to an end of a cycle. So it'd be good to look at the last 7 years. What were you been thinking about? Like, what was going on in those 7 years? What things did you hope to bring to fruition that maybe you didn't? What's been sitting on a back burner? Maybe it's meant to come to the front burner. And only you know that, but I feel like the reflection back is only to see now, okay, what do I do with this great year? Ultimately, the last thing I wrote down on this paper is get comfortable with success. Get comfortable with success, Aquarius. Now, I'm not saying it's magic. I'm saying that if we're willing to put the effort in, and when I say the effort, I feel like a lot of us are going to be guided anyway. So I don't feel like it's anything you wouldn't want to be doing. Well, let's go ahead and open up the reading. So we're going to start with Mother Mary for our words of wisdom. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down per month. I'm going to use the Universal Tarot for January. I'm going to use the Psychic Tarot for February, and I'm going to use the Tarot of Dreams for March. The Gilded Tarot for any clarifying if we need to. Sometimes in these readings, I don't even feel like we need to clarify it, but we're going to begin with Mother Mary. So let's go ahead and give them a shuffle. Aquarius, Aquarius. One of my favorite plays. All right. January, February, March. What does Aquarius need to know? What can Aquarius know? Okay. All right. I'm going to take them. There's a lot, but I am going to take them. I have a feeling they're going to tell their own little message, but let's look at them. We have blessings. Hello. Take that all day long. Today, I count my blessings, small and large, and I notice the new gifts that come to me from God. Blessings. Giving and receiving. This is the perfect energy for Universal Year 8. This is the energy I feel like a lot of times with like helping the underdog. To me, it's an energy of compassion and empathy. But it really is learning the fine art of give and take. Let's see what Mother Mary says. I balance being generous and receptive because both are equally important. So there's a blessing. And then with that blessing, maybe it's more than you need. We have, well, hello, marriage. What are you doing here? Marriage. I make a commitment to a healthy relationship with God, myself, and my partner. Now, I can tell you, I know what this says in the book. For those unmarried, it does signify that there's the potential of someone that could be coming into your life. And it makes sense with blessings here. We have God. God. I step out of the way and surrender any need for control in order to make room for God's healing love to, to flow through me and this situation. God. And last but not least, compassion. I see and feel others' points of view with forgiveness and kindness. That makes sense, right? Giving and receiving. It's funny, marriage and then God. So, maybe if you are married, this could certainly talk about healing over a relationship. But I feel for those who are unmarried, it is, listen, first of all, I feel like just step out of the way here because it feels like some type of, well, blessing is coming your way. I feel like it's saying, but stay compassionate, and it is true. I feel like the more compassionate we are towards our fellow man, um, first of all, I just feel like it's the way it's meant to be. And when we live from let's just say, a standpoint of love, then I feel like these blessings are often. I don't feel like these blessings are a one-time thing. You could call them a reward, but at the same time, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, we could call them a reward, but because God's out, I feel like it's a true blessing. All right, let's slide these over. Let's bring the lid down a little bit. Let's bring in the Universal Tarot. I'm going to keep these all out because they'll relate some way in the reading. I already know it. Put these up here a little further. Okay. January. What say you, January? Happy New Year. I get the feeling that there's some people also who feel like what it feels like to me is like a writer's block type of energy. Like my inspiration feels blocked. Um, like my direction feels blocked. Like I don't feel like I'm receiving the signs from my guide. So I feel like if that's the case, first of all, I feel like there's a need to clear your mind. There's something going on that is causing that block. So hopefully we can figure that out for you. I don't, I feel like that's just a few people. But all right. So let's just take a second. Breathe. Breathe in the light. Exhale the dark. In the light. Exhale the dark. And let's begin. All right. We start with Seven of Cups. First of all, it's a seven. We're in a universal year seven, 2023. If you're seeing this in 2024, I decided to do these a little early and I did it with purpose. It's just so that you can see, like, is there anything that would benefit me to eliminate or is there anything that I can eliminate that is not going to serve my universal year eight. That's not going to allow me to be all that I can be. Seven of Cups is definitely making a choice. You have to make a choice here. It can feel a little chaotic, and it may be because up, up just pops up out of nowhere. And I feel like sometimes what feels chaotic to me, it can be like, looking at these cups and I'm thinking of cups that I've chosen in the past and maybe they haven't worked out. So that makes me a little fearful of choosing another. Yet I do feel like one has to be chosen here. Let's keep going. Look at that, 2 7s, 77 back to back. Deception, envy. This is someone who takes more than they need, more than what's fairly theirs. They take others. I think if you're thinking at all of, taking more than what you need or what is more than yours, because I feel like this is the energy of if I do that, like very quickly, it'll be shown, or like am I creating karma for myself? Now I do also feel like this Seven of Swords may be talking about someone that because it's like here you are making a choice over energy that doesn't feel trustworthy. Well, it isn't trustworthy. So let's keep going. We have the Six of Wands. And then we have the King of Cups. Can be a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. Doesn't have to be. To me, this means that you're probably choosing an emotional cup, like a cup of emotion. That can mean love. It can, some type of fulfillment. But will it fulfill me? Hmm. You know, um, I don't love that the Seven of Swords is here. I'm going to be honest. I just don't love that. So I want to continue. We have the Four of Cups, discontentment and boredom in one's life. Look at this. We have the Ten of Cups underneath that Seven of Swords. We have the Strength card over the Six of Wands, which is the energy of victory, by the way. And then we have dun, 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 the Emperor under the King of Cups. Move this up a little bit. All right. We have Leo and Aries side by side here. Um, I feel like for some of you, there is like I don't know. It feels like there's this emotional offer on the table. And, and I'm not necessarily going to say it's love because it may be about like partnership. But it could be like business partnership. But I feel like there's some type of untrustworthy energy around us. It's interesting the Seven of Swords is coming out of that Ten of Cups energy. So, do I live with this person? Is this person part of my world? Type of energy. You have the father figure down here also. Um, but it can also stand for, and I'm looking at the Emperor, it can also stand for business ownership. The Emperor is the leader of the people. And I just get this feeling for some of you, I feel like you're very qualified. You're very qualified for that, but for some reason, I feel like maybe you're not trusting that. I feel like here's the one thing I want to say: be careful who you give your money to. What are they going to do with that money? Or your time, or your love, any of that. Like, what are they going to do with it? Are they going to use your generosity to benefit, to make their life better? Or are they just using it for what they always use it for, themselves? It's interesting. You also have the Four of Cups sitting right next to the Ten of Cups. Four of Cups, discontentment and boredom within one's life. Yet, there's that Ten of Cups. Four of Cups, though. This person's receiving a cup. We know that because the Seven of Cups is also telling us that, right? There's a cup being offered. Here it is. What do I do with it? Now, I feel because you do want some changes. The Four of Cups says you use your spiritual discernment. So I feel like if someone is like, you know, can I borrow money? Can I have money? And you know that they're going to use it to benefit or to enhance their life, then I would say yes. But I feel like there's just some type of energy where, again, it could be a father figure. I'm looking at the strength card and I'm thinking for some, it could be, the Seven of Swords could be some type of like, like they're a drinker, they're a smoker, they're a midnight toker. You know what I mean? And because the strength card talks about our inner demons. And it's sitting next to this Ten of Cups. It's so interesting because here is this Ten of Cups, right? Normally the house of harmony, but it doesn't feel like this house is in harmony, to be honest, because I feel like there's one situation or person who, again, seems to like, I don't know, throw chaos to the wind. I feel like I feel like you're doing pretty good. Let's keep going. There's the Empress. Look at that. The Empress is following the Emperor. I don't know how many times I've seen that. Well, not that often, but at least a couple times within the personal readings. I've seen that in the personal readings also, but in the yearly readings, I mean, they're not side by side, but they're connected. These two, if they work together, they can create the most wonderful things. They can create wealth. They're both have a leadership ability. But listen, maybe sometimes that gets in the way, right? I want to be the leader. No, I want to be the leader. It's almost like mom and dad right here. Maybe this Seven of Swords is, like a child. I don't feel like the Empress would sit in the Four of Cups energy too long because I want you to remember that the Empress has, she's been through a lot of difficulty in her life, but she's overcome them. And she's really, the meaning of the card is to keep your heart open, to stay loving and nurturing. And the reason why is because you've learned enough now where you can trust your energy as a measure of whether I should do something or not do something, whether I should give or not give, whether I should accept or not accept. So, and this is also someone who's very creative, so she could really create quite the nest egg for herself. I feel like the Empress is looking for a change. I don't feel that very often, but I do feel like she's looking for a change. Let's keep going. Six of Cups, interesting. Under the Ten of Cups. Four of Swords, there's that healing. I'm happy to see that, to be honest. And then, hello, Three of Wands. And on the bottom of the deck, Eight of Cups. All right. This is good news to me because the Eight of Cups means that, first of all, it's an eight, universal year eight. And this is about your emotional house. But this is someone who's taken the time to analyze those cups. The cups have fallen over. Like, what was my part in it? And not as judgment, only to know oneself. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes we blame ourselves for other people's, lack mentality. It's like it's their lack mentality, not yours. But yet we take it on. So I'm happy to see the Eight of Cups there because I feel like it does mean that like that move. It does mean that there is some type of emotional clarity. Look at that, the star underneath it, your major arcana, your hopes, your dreams, your wishes, but bringing them to fruition. It feels like it's saying that there is a requirement to bring certain dreams or wishes into your present or your very near future. I mean, I'm looking at that Three of Wands, which is a very optimistic view of my future. I'm not trying to control it. I'm doing exactly what God said. I'm stepping out of the way. And it doesn't mean I don't go after what I feel, what I feel inspired to do. It just means that, like, let's say it's talking about love. I feel like, love happens when love happens, that type of thing. But I feel like there's some type of issue going on here. Now, we have the three mirrored by a three over here. So the Empress with the Three of Wands. I feel like this Empress has been through something. I don't know if the Emperor or maybe this King, somebody was untrustworthy. Feels like they lived in the home or they came into what maybe you feel was like, like this is my home setting, and then someone comes in and turns it into turmoil. Here's the good news. You have the Four of Swords here. The Four of Swords is mirroring the Six of Wands. Six of Wands to me, I often feel the Six of Wands as someone's platform. Because in the Six of Wands, there's people paying attention to what it is that you're saying, what it is that, what your platform is about. And I feel like many times when our platform is about things that we've overcome, because the Strength card is right in between the healing and then the platform, I feel like it's helping others to overcome. And boy, I always feel God uses us in that way. It can be in a small way, but it can also be in a big way. Like I may actually take a stage and talk about certain situations. The Six of Cups is mirroring that Seven of Swords. You know, Six of Cups is about happy memories. Connected to the Ten of Cups, that's quite beautiful. But then the Seven of Swords has to come in and almost like ruin the day. Now, I also feel, like I'm giving this person of the Seven of Swords like well, I'm going to say a bad rap, but in a way, I feel like they deserve it. But I also feel like there's a potential of whatever's going on with them if they choose for healing. Maybe there's something that's just got them, has their hooks in them. And, and maybe it's even you. Um, because I feel major change here. Major change. All right, let's bring in the Gilded Tarot because I do want to look at, first of all, the two sevens right there, 77, and then these two threes mirroring each other. Two fours. I just realized that also mirroring each other. Real quick, I just got another little story too. For some of you, I feel like this King of Cups is someone who may now be the Emperor. Now, what do I mean by that? I feel like for some of you, this may be someone of your past who you do have happy memories of, but you also have hurtful memories of. I feel like they may be making a repeat appearance. However, I feel like if that's the case, now wait a minute, because remember I was saying earlier, I feel like there is someone's like, gimme, 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 and you have to know like when not to give, right? Like what to like if I give, what are you doing with it type of energy. So there's that. But then I also feel that, there could have been a connection between you and someone and it does feel like there was a period of time of joy and happiness, maybe even up to the 10 of cups energy. But then I feel like someone because of something that they're doing, something that had their hooks in them. I feel like they just couldn't, they couldn't be what they needed to be for you, whether you know that or not. So I feel like that Seven of Cups is talking about them because I feel like they may be coming back in. Now, with the Strength card in the healing here, maybe whatever had their hooks in them, they have healed. That possibility is very real. But let's go deeper. Let's just start at the beginning. Let's look at these sevens. Of course, went flying off the table. Eight of Pentacles. Another eight. 88. You guys know I see that all the time. I see 33 all the time also. I love that the Eight of Pentacles is mirroring the Empress right now because the Eight of Pentacles is, this could talk about like beginning something new, starting a new business, taking the stage, you know what I mean? Like starting your platform. Again, with the Empress's energy, I feel like it's very lucrative because she is receiving epiphanies. She's being guided. We're all being guided, but she's someone who really pays attention to it, and she puts it to birth. She brings it to the world. So, the Eight of Pentacles says, don't be afraid to go into something as the apprentice. You don't need to know everything because I feel like this is the energy of learning as you go. Um, but it is about like putting my head down and getting to work. Remember the person in the Eight of Pentacles. Again, maybe I am going in as the apprentice, but my goal is to leave as the master teacher, is to know all I need to know, to learn all that I can learn. So, that's part of the question here. For some of you, this emperor could certainly be a boss. And it may be, there just may be someone in your company or even your boss who carries this energy of untrustworthiness. Like I feel it all the time where, like, there I am working for the company and I'm working hard and, I turn over my ideas and then someone else claims my ideas. Or, like, I'm sitting at my desk doing my thing and I don't even realize that this person's like looking at my work because they're going to claim that work. Now, those are just examples, but that could very much be what's happening. I feel like we got quite a few stories going here. But that's normal, when you're reading for a lot of people. So, how do you know what's for you? You're going to feel it. It's like angel bumps on your skin. Or I should have told you, like in any of my readings, because I read through my spirit guides, don't be afraid to ask your guides, like, give me confirmation, like, show me, like, the number 7 or a combination of 33, like, don't be afraid to ask. All right, let's keep going. All right, well, we have the Fool over the 7 of Swords. So, who knows? Maybe this person has made a change. We have the 3 Cups over the 6 of Cups. We have, interesting, the 6 of Cups over the King of Cups. 6 of Cups right down here, right next to the Empress. This king, by the way, he looks like he's about ready to get out of his chair. He's thinking about that cup. I definitely feel like he's thinking about offering it to you because of the 7 of Cups, right? Because it puts the ball in your court. And, whatever it's related to, the 7 of Swords was an energy that kind of hung around. But now I feel like with the Fool over it, it feels different. Again, this is someone that I would have happy memories about. Maybe, a period in my life. Some of you, your children may have grown and now you are like striking out on your own, if that makes sense. All right, well, what else do I have in my hand? The Chariot. So we're in the year of the Chariot, 2023, and we're leaving it. Coming over the 4 Cups, discontentment and boredom. Well, here's your vehicle out. Here's your way out. The Chariot to me is, first of all, it's a card of Cancer. But because it's saying there is a cup, it's being handed to you. And I do feel like that cup is from the hand of God. And that cup is an unlimited type of energy. So, what does that mean, unlimited? Well, if we think of free will, it means that it can be all that we have hoped it would be. Remember, we saw the star. It can be all that we hoped it can be, but because we have free will, we can also put a limit upon it. Now, I feel like the Chariot comes because there's been a balance in one's life or in two people's life. The balance of the masculine and the feminine, the light and the dark. When you think of the Chariot, think about that it's your intentions that move this chariot, that tell the chariot where to go, not the reins of the horse. It's your intention. Set your goals high this year. I mean, as this relates to money, It feels like the sky's the limit. And then we have the high priestess over the 10 of cups. Your intuition. Okay. It's interesting because I feel there's a few things happening and we're only looking at January, February. Well, right now we're looking at January. Um, so I feel like right off the bat, like the year is speaking to you right off the bat. It feels like some type of cup is coming your way. Now, again, I feel different things about this cup. I feel like at a time, um, if this is a person, I feel like there was a time period where I couldn't trust them for whatever the reason. Even if it's work, I feel the same thing. Like for whatever reason, um, you know, for whatever reason, I couldn't trust them. I also feel for some of you that you're going to be celebrating promotion. I feel like you're going to be celebrating. And for some of you, it is a promotion. For some of you, it is someone coming back into your life. And for some of you, it's like I even feel for some like the Seven of Swords could be like a child, and it may be a child who just, found themselves on the wrong side of the track, so to speak. I feel like this is saying that there's the potential of that healing going on also. Healing 8. So, bottom line, as it relates to anything that's coming towards you, with the high priestess here, it's saying trust your intuition. With the empress here, it's a reminder of who you are. When I think of the emperor and the empress, I think of their past and where they've been and what they've gone through and how they ultimately can become the leader of the people. Again, it's because of their experiences. It's what they've overcome. And who better to lead than someone been who has walked your footsteps. All right, let's keep going. I got to remember this is more than just I still have February and March, but I wanted to be very clear for you too. We have the Nine of Wands coming over the Strength card, and then we have the King of Swords coming over the Emperor. So you have two kings. King of Swords can be a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. It's probably you. Some of you, listen, I feel like, first of all, the Nine of Wands before the Emperor is a good energy to have. The Nine of Wands over the Strength card is also a good energy to have. Because what it means, who's ever in this energy, is taking full responsibility of the things or the hurtful actions, right? But it's still something, it reminds me of like an addiction. And I know I got to kick it, right? And maybe someone who has that addiction. That's what it's saying. Like, don't feed that addiction. But I feel like at the same time, here's someone who's taken full responsibility over their actions and then healing below that. If it's you, all it's saying is be real with yourself. If there's anything that tends to hold you back that that you can eliminate, I feel like this would be the time. The moon. over the Empress. Card of Pisces, ruler of Cancer. Interesting, a ruler of Cancer with Chariot. Cancer's major arcana right there. So some of you may be connected to Cancer. You know, we have the King of Cups right there also. But the moon talks about uncertainties. You know, I don't feel like the Empress needs to know, like, ultimately, you know, I feel like the Empress, and I feel like you're the Empress or the Emperor, and I feel like what was I gonna say? God, I just completely forgot what I was gonna say. Hmm, I don't know. Um, I feel like I was going to say that the Empress, again, you know, do I need to know that ultimately I will land in the Ten of Cups? Where's the Ten of Cups? Okay, right there. The Empress is like, no, because, you know, I'm creating from present day energy. And, but also keep in mind that the moon is very dreamy type energy. So it's like, this empress having these dreams, and you know, and they could be dreams at night, but I feel like dreams of grandeur, dreams of doing my thing. Hello lovers. Over the Six of Cups, first of all, it's a card of Gemini, and the meaning of the card is a head over heart decision, and I do feel like that's part of it, because again, you opened the reading with you making this decision, or at least the ball was in your court. This gives you, you know, I love that it's coming over the Six of Cups, first of all, because this really is treasured memories of someone. And we have the Six of Cups twice coming over that King. I want you to kind of forget about the sign, though, and just think about, because I feel like this is talking about really the potential of love. Now, that doesn't negate everything else I feel like the Emperor or the Emperor are going through. Because again, I feel like you're coming right over the Emperor. And to me, that could certainly mean business ownership. You know, let's talk about how the emperor goes about, you know, planning his day, planning his business. He puts a plan in place. He's methodical. He thinks it out. He doesn't overthink it, but he thinks it out. You know, if you remember that the emperor is the card of Aries, it's a seed planter, right? I plant those seeds. Sometimes it's just planting that mustard seed in someone else's mind and then allowing it to grow on its own. The emperor knows that, right? I can't, it's like I plant the seeds, but then, you know, I don't control them. Anyways, I don't know why I'm saying that. Lovers, 6 and 6. The lovers is mirroring the foal. So, leap of faith. Yes, it is coming over the Seven of Swords. That makes it a little bit more difficult to take that leap of faith. However, I do feel like this is talking about a person, any person, saying, you know, ultimately, can I have another chance? Then I feel like, first of all, if that's the case, I do feel that they have changed. I do feel that they know their own responsibility within something. And I am not telling you to take anybody back you don't want to take back. Because I do feel like it's interesting we don't have the Three of Swords. So even though the Seven of Swords is here, it didn't really lead. into the Three of Swords. Interesting. And then we have Judgment, your spiritual team, coming right over the Four of Swords, healing. Judgment's all about calling you to the present moment. Why? Because there's about to be a rebirth. In what? Well, it's sitting next to the Lovers. It's over the Four of Swords. And right next to it is the Three of Wands. So I feel like it's your spiritual team saying, get excited. Over what? Over anything. God, we're still in January. Dang it, why did I say the Three of Swords? Because there it is. I shouldn't even said it. There it is. And it makes sense that it's here because um how could it not be here? I mean, that was really my question. Like, there's that Seven of Swords, there's that Seven of Cups where, here's this King of Cups that's literally has a cup in his hand, and then mirroring that Seven of Cups. Do I say yes? Do I accept it or not? Again, treasured memories of someone, um, happier time. There was the Ten of Cups. It's right there. But at the same time, listen, if this is talking about a marriage where, things have happened, I do feel like there's an opportunity to heal it if you want to. That's up to you, right? Use your spiritual discernment. You have the chariot here. That chariot can take you wherever you want to go. This Three of Swords coming over the Three of Wands. Three of Wands is an optimistic view, right? I know my ships will come in when they're meant to come in. But then why would the Three of Swords come out right there? King of Wands, another king, and the Page of Wands. Okay. Whoops. This could certainly say, if this is talking about someone of your past, that to me, it would be the Page. And it makes sense because the Page of Wands is kind of like the Fool's energy. I feel like this is someone who takes a lot of chances, a lot of risk in life. They follow their passion. And a lot of times it doesn't work out. And they do fall. But I feel like this is talking about the energy of I was a page and now I'm a king. So I've matured, I've grown. This is the king of action. It's just who I am. Just who I am. But also carries a lot of passion in their heart at the same time. It's quite interesting because, I feel like this Three of Swords is also saying that this person, has gone through the Three of Swords themselves. Because I feel like the Four of Swords is really for everyone. But your spiritual team is calling you to that present moment, to the present moment, to prepare you for what's next. It's literally telling you there's about to be a rebirth. Now, what's mirroring it? The Three of Cups, reason to celebrate. Not only that, but the Three of Cups is coming over a victorious type energy and the healing. So I feel like who's ever in that Seven of Swords, I feel like, they broke their own heart at the same time. So I feel like both felt it. Interesting. And this is just January. All right, well, let's take this and let's keep going. And, let's remember the judgment is towards the end of this reading for January with the lovers connected to it. And let's look at February. All right, for February, we are going to use the Psychic Tarot. All these decks, though, are really shuffled. I shuffle them for quite a bit before I begin the reading, but I do like to shuffle them also with you here. And, when I'm reading, I literally feel like you're all sitting in the room with me. Like, I feel like we're just having a conversation. All right. February, what say you? Now, let's keep in mind that we had the Emperor and the Empress. We had the Ten of Cups. At the end of the reading, we had Judgment calling you to the present moment so that there can be a rebirth. On the side of Judgment was the Lovers. And then on the other side of the Judgment was, and it came over the Four Swords, or the other side was an optimistic view. So let's continue on from that. Look at that. Just as your spiritual team would want. Passion ignited. It's like your chakra is gone off. Emotional loss. Five of Cups. That makes sense. And it makes sense. First of all, 5 and a 1 would be a 6. And I'm saying that only because Judgment brought out the Lovers, which is a 6. 5 talks about change. You know, I know you guys have heard me say this a million times, but in the 5 of Cups, this is talking about where one's focus is at, and this is when I'm focusing on what I have lost. This can go to the energy of woe is me, and that's what your spiritual team doesn't want you to do. Like it makes sense that we're going to do that for a little while, but not to stay in that energy. Remember the Empress. She keeps her heart open. She stays loving and nurturing, but she's nobody's fool at the same time. She's learned from her experiences. That is what now is her wisdom. Plus, she's got her ancestors, her spiritual team, everyone. So when this person does make that change, there's 2 cups. So soulmates. And your passion is being ignited. Look at that. 8. Accelerated motion. The waiting game. 7 of Pentacles. Planning and patience. Patience and planning. I feel like you've had patience. The waiting game is here, right? But I feel like the waiting game is over now. Because we move into accelerated motion, 8, 9, 10, would be a 1. We have the 1 over here, which is passion being ignited within you. And listen, I feel like this is about something that's coming to fruition that maybe you had been hoping for quite a while. If this is talking about like your financial world, any part of your life, really, putting a plan in place. And I feel like that's why we saw the Emperor, because that's what the Emperor would do. But I also feel like the 7 plus a 1 is an 8. It's talking about, the time for planning and patience was 2023. The time for action is now. Material and spiritual prosperity. Look at that. Material and spiritual prosperity. You know, he's like looking out in the world. He's looking out in his own kingdom, really. 6 and a 5, 11. I don't know why I'm going so slow. Recognition and reward. Look how humble this person looks. Like, I'm very humbled to accept this reward, though I deserve it. I'm very humbled by it. Victory and success. Second time we've had this. It's interesting. It's coming under the waiting game. Maybe you've been waiting for this success, and maybe this is now the time. Again, I feel like the time for planning, not that, we shouldn't keep planning, but I feel like the time for, like, let's say I just wanted to get something, you know, um, something moving. Well, don't forget we saw that Eight of Pentacles. That would be the time now to introduce it to the world, and that was January. Now, time is fluid, so keep that in mind. Um, Look at these two sixes with the three in between. This line right here makes me feel like whatever you put your energy behind this year or this month, I do feel like you're going to see the fruits of your labor. I feel like first and foremost, I don't want to stay in the energy of, what was, what I wish would have been, what I've lost. Instead, I want to start thinking about today and creating my life from today moving forward. Again, remembering, that we're planting seeds on a daily basis. And those seeds, some of them we're going to nurture and some of them we may let them dry up and die. Your patience and your planning pays off victory and success. Not only does it pay off, but then recognition over it, what you do in the world, reward, blessings. I use that word like rewards, and I don't know what else to call it. I feel like there's another word I want to use, but I feel like they're connected. And then accelerated motion above that, so fast moving. We have foundation and achievements. That's good. I always like seeing that because it makes me feel like I am thinking about my foundation and I'm starting to realize that if my foundation isn't strong, my own foundation, then anybody can come along and with one, strong wind blow it all down. So I want to make sure my foundation is as strong as possible. But foundation and achievements everywhere, material and spiritual prosperity, victory and success, passion ignited, recognition and reward. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the waiting game, well, I feel like that's over. Like, there's no more waiting, right? That planning was last year. Now we're into action, we're into movement. Some of you, if you're working from home, and I feel like so many people are working from home now, I feel like there's success for you also. The one thing I want to say is like it does take your action now. It takes your passion to bring you to this energy of success, but success can be yours. No doubt. Hello, love begins. So under the Five of Cups, well, it's mirroring the Five of Cups. So that tells me someone has made a change, right? Because again, it's a five. Fives ask for change. I'm ready to change now, right? Something's ignited within me. You know, it's interesting because the Five of Cups has the Ace of Wands on one side of it, and then it's mirrored by Love Begins, the Ace of Cups. And you know, I can't forget that the Emperor and the Empress were so close in the last spread because this could even be a partnership. You know, and it may be like, I don't know, maybe we fall in love first and then we become partners. Or maybe we become partners and then we fall in love type of energy. I'm saying a partnership, but you know, maybe we help each other some way through, you know, to reach that material prosperity. Love begins. Spiritual strength. It's like, who's rewarding you? God's rewarding you. Your spiritual team's rewarding you. Who's been holding you up? Your spiritual team's been holding you up. Your angels, God, you know, the whole team that God put in place for you. They're holding you up. Dang it, three swords. Okay. Well, the three swords right now is mirroring the waiting game. So I feel like, honestly, I feel like the waiting part of it needs to go. Look at that, the Six of Cups again. It's like this person is not going to go away. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like there's a tower underneath them. And then the Emperor, Nine of Swords under that. Interesting. It's almost like the Emperor keeping his thoughts to himself. Um, you know, I'm saying the Emperor. And I want you to understand when I say the Empress and the Emperor, I am thinking of no sign. Matter of fact, I'm thinking of all the signs because I feel like they have the experience individually of all the signs, the good and the bad. But it really is like how they overcome it. And that's what allows them to be such good leaders. So, anyways, but boy, do I feel also that they are a power couple. Like if these two, anything they do together, they're going to do it well. They're going to exceed at it. Now, you know, they're different, but they're alike at the same time. Like it's, let me put it this way. It's like they have the same goal. They just go at it differently, but they arrive at the same place. Ultimately, success. For some of you, it just feels like love. It's like this person, so it's almost like someone hurt me as it relates to love. I'm talking about love right now. Someone did something that just, you know, caused me not to believe. It caused me to have a hard time trusting others, you know, anyone that followed. It took me a long time to figure it out that this is not my energy, it's their energy. And I feel like the Empress went on with her life and, you know, has really learned who she is and the power of who she is. And I don't mean that in an egotistical way, but I feel like she feels like she has a purpose. So, you know, and like once I feel that way, before I invite anybody into my life, I know they must be of the same vibration. You know, that's the thing when you see the Empress is if anybody comes into her life, because she trusts her intuition so much, her intuition's going to let her know. You know, it's going to raise those red flags. Now, it's our free will that ignores those red flags. Now, I'm not saying there are going to be red flags because honestly, I feel like someone has healed. All right. So anyway, I don't feel like this person's going away. I would suppose if you told them to go away, they would go away. All right, with the Eight of Cups again. Interesting. Over the Ace of Wands, and then look at this. The Two of Wands over the Five of Cups. Five of Cups, looking for change. That person makes that change, what do they find? Eventually, their soulmate. I have a feeling someone already knows your soulmate, but that's eventually what they find. Now, maybe you don't even know. But again, I feel like someone's kind of following you here. Two of Wands is, to me, it's my yes card. And, I kind of love that the passion's being ignited first. And it makes sense that the Eight of Cups would say that, if I haven't cleared my emotional house, if like emotionally I'm still a mess, then it may not be the best time for me to like be in a relationship. But I feel like you have, like it's showing me over and over again that you yourself have um, brought your vibration up. So, of course you're going to want the next, who's ever following you here to be of the same vibration. I feel like that's why we saw the Emperor, because they are of the same vibration. And I also feel that's why we saw the Page and the King, because I feel like the Page was more immature type energy, but then someone has grown into the King. Now, male or female. Remember, we all have masculine and feminine energy. But anyways, so Two of Wands being mirrored down here by the Ace of Cups, love begins. So I feel like you're saying yes. Three of Wands, beautiful. Natural progression. The natural progression, right? This isn't moving too quickly. I am taking it step by step. But what I want to say within the Wands energy, because this is how it's going through the Wands, there's not a lot of fear in the Wands energy. It's more about action and passion and following that. And then you have the Three of Wands again. Again, it's letting go of control, knowing my ships will come in. It's going day by day, but I'm going to enjoy, what I can enjoy now. It's not projecting myself too far out in the future. I like that it went from the two to the three. And again, the three is very optimistic energy. So I feel good about it, but it doesn't mean I need to move that quick. All right, let's keep going. You have like a nice mixed bag here, Aquarius. You have love, but you also is talking about your finances. All right, here's the Fool again over the waiting game. So whatever that waiting was, it's now over. The Fool again. I'm going to take a chance. The Fool leaves the past in the past and is being mirrored by the Eight of Cups. So emotional energy that just is no longer serving you. It doesn't like hanging on to hurt and pain and anger. It doesn't serve you, even if you have every right to. Um, and because the Emperor and the Empress showed, I feel like you're beyond that. I do feel like you're beyond that. But the Fool is about taking a chance. All right, let's keep going. Eight of Wands. So patience and planning, but now we have the Eight of Wands, fast moving energy. The time for planning is over. And the Eight of Wands, by the way, oh, I thought that was an eight. But 88 again. Hello, 88. Anyways, the Eight of Wands to me is also what I think about, I bring about. It's to me the law of attraction. Whatever wherever my vibration is at is what's going to vibrate back. Hello, soulmates. Right where they're meant to be. Look at this line. So first we start with the Five of Cups. We already knew that from January that somebody was missing you. And you probably them too. But I do feel like they gave you a reason not to be with them, right? Now, this does feel like there was time in between here. I also want to say this doesn't always have to mean someone from my past, but the Six of Cups keeps coming up, so it makes me feel that way. So, remember how I said in the Five of Cups, when this person decides to make that change and says, you know what, I'm not going to focus on what I've lost. I'm going to start focusing on what can I do today? What can I create right now? How can I raise my vibration? And then the Two of Cups show. There they are. With the Two of Wands right above them. To me, that's saying yes. And then the Ace of Cups right below them. Love begins. Oh my God. And so it is. And so it is. This is making a commitment. This is called the marriage card. I call it the commitment card. But listen, in this energy, everybody wants to be in this energy. I even want to go back to January and say for some marriages, I feel like there is the potential. You got to want it and you got to be willing to, both have to want it and both have to be willing to work at it. If that's the case, then I feel like success, yes. For others, I feel like this is new, even though it may be with someone that you already know. But this is truly making a commitment. And by the way, this is them putting value upon you, like understanding your value. And then we have the Page of Pentacles. Page of Pentacles, Path of Knowledge. Interesting, because I feel like someone may have been, and it may be you. Like I've been on this path of really building up my pentacles. Maybe you're looking for a change though, or you're looking for another avenue to add in. I feel like whatever happens financially here, I feel like it's going to come through epiphanies and signs. That's why you want to be aware. That's why your spiritual team came out, right? The signs, the blessings, what feels like miracles, they all occur in the here and now. Page of Pentacles learns that. I feel like the Page of Pentacles learns how to use their spirituality within their material world. Could certainly represent a spiritual business. But I also feel like this is as it relates to love. This is talking about someone just how to learn how to love, how to learn how to let go. And I feel like they did. Or you did. Somebody did. Could certainly represent a younger Earth sign, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, but it doesn't have to. Six of Pentacles. Look at this. The Ace of Swords now right over the Ace of Cups. Wow. Communication. Truth. You know, I love the Six of Cups or the Six of Pentacles right before it because again, it's a very giving type energy. Needs balance, right? Both need to give and receive. Doesn't mean that like when one's down, okay, there's something wrong with them. No, I need to hold them up. As long as it's on, it goes both ways. I definitely feel like here we go. Here's the communication. How about the aces? You have what? One, I feel like I'm missing an ace. Two, three aces with the Four of Wands. Wow. And the Two of Cups. Like the Two of Cups sitting right next to the Four of Wands. Come on. Eight of Swords. Kind of a bummer, but it is coming over spiritual energy. Queen of Pentacles. Interesting. This could have been, well, the reversal of the other where we had the king from the page to the king. Now we have the page to the queen. And another page. Page cups. All right. So let's look at this. So everything looks quite beautiful, right? It's like as soon as this person decides to make a change, um, and part of that change is understanding because I feel like there's energy of missing someone. Now whether I know them or I don't know them, whether I know them from this lifetime or a previous lifetime, there is like a yearning for them. So I feel like in the Five of Cups it says when this person makes a change that they will meet a soulmate. Well, it's right below it, literally right below it, with commitment right next to it. It's interesting because here I said, let's go step by step, right? Two of Wands to me is saying yes. Three of Wands, staying optimistic about our future. But then I taking it slow, right? But then boom, I think with the Eight of Wands, everything starts moving so much faster. Maybe so much so that it brings up a little fear in you. I want to look at this Eight of Swords, Five of Pentacles. So that's old energy. Ten of Wands, that makes sense. And the Hierophant. All right. So why would this Eight of Swords be here? A self-created prison. This is where I'm trying to protect myself. This is an energy we do have to let go of. Because it's not really truly how we protect ourselves. We protect ourselves through our energy, through our vibration, and trusting within our guides and trusting within ourselves. Eight of Swords, I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself to make the right decision. And it's telling us exactly why. Because of the Five of Pentacles. So, maybe this is talking about someone who just out of the blue kind of cut it off. But at the same time, you have the Ten of Wands, which means the brunt of the responsibility was on your shoulders. That wasn't good, right? That's not good. And I feel like this is simply saying, I don't want that again. That's why you need to uncreate that prison and trust in your energy. That's why you take it step by step. But then, I can't help but think it starts to move very quickly. And that could be fearful. But then you have the Hierophant, and that is faith. That is trust. That is your belief system. Making sure it's strong. And if it is strong, then you know these eights of swords do not need to be created, right? I can believe, if I believe in God, then I'm going to hand it over to God versus making these self created prisons. I feel like, there may have been a time where, like, I did pray to God, like, it's too much, right? It's too much. And maybe you did receive a tower, but maybe that tower needed to happen at that point. Let's look at it a different way. So maybe things in this situation weren't going so well. So you created this prison, right? And it really can block opportunities because you can't see them. There's a blindfold. So when we block these opportunities, do we not block them in all of our life? Like even, because I feel like there's opportunity to truly make money or creating businesses and promotions. But if I'm in this energy, do I feel it? Do I see it? So if I need to break down why I created it, here it is. The five of pentacles and the 10 of wands. But then the Hierophant, the light, faith. Put your faith in me as God. All right. I just want to go one more over that. Everything else I feel like is pretty much explains itself. I get it. I don't want her to get it. I get it. But I also feel in the same breath that the time period in between, I feel like, what have you done? Because I feel like you've created some things that maybe you wouldn't have done otherwise. You know, Sometimes we meet someone and maybe we're meant to meet him at that time period, but maybe it's not meant to come together at that time period. Maybe it ignites our soul, but then we go out and create, especially as the emperor and the empress. They both, I feel like there must be some schooling behind that. It is about life's experiences, and it is ultimately reaching the level of, let's just say, the teacher, um, the one who wants to help and give back. Six of Pentacles again, right? That very empathetic and charitable type of energy. So, I feel like this is life. This is life. All right, let's pick this up. What a February. So I feel like for you, the potential of making a true commitment in the month of February seem very, very good. Now, it is up to you because I also feel like financially and what you're doing in the world are being expanded. And for those who don't even like, sometimes you think, like, I'm not sure what it is I'm meant to do in the world. Your purpose is just to be you, is to be loving. But it doesn't mean to be someone's fool, but to have a loving nature, to be compassionate, to think about your fellow man, that type of thing. That's the purpose. And the rest is like, you get to, it's like a coloring book and you get to color in the, and, you get to color in it. How do you want it to look? All right, let's go into March using the Tarot of Dreams. right. Well, more than one there. Look at that. The marriage card. Very first energy. Hello, Emperor. You're back again. Two fours. 44. Seven of Swords. Judgment. Interesting because the person in the Seven of Swords is looking back at Judgment. So, I have to be honest. I feel like this is saying that whoever was in the Seven of Swords had a rebirth. I do feel like they had a fall from grace, but I feel like this is a new opportunity. I feel like it's a new them. They are who they are. But in the same breath, this is not to give anybody an excuse, but I feel like there was a lot of immaturity in this energy, and you know, I do feel like they have grown. I can't help but think it's the Emperor, the Hermit. Maybe they went through their own dark night of the soul, and maybe they needed to, and maybe they've been in the dark for a little while. But in the dark is where you really start seeking the light. Sometimes you don't seek the light until you're down on your knees, have nowhere left to go. But I mean, like, I have nowhere else to go with my problems. What do I do? Knight of Swords. By the way, the Hermit is a card of Virgo. Queen of Pentacles again. The Fool. Right under Judgment. So again, Judgment is your spiritual team calling you to the present moment so that a rebirth can take place. It just feels like it's time. It's almost like a seed of intention that was set before you even came into this lifetime. Even if this is a person of the past, this is not the energy of the past. Because we open this right off the bat with a commitment, and then the Emperor follows. So the Emperor has been following us, but so is the Seven of Swords. But right next is the Seven of Swords, and this person in the Seven of Swords is looking right back at Judgment. Now, I already know some of the comments are going to be like, I'm not taking so and so back. Listen, if someone hasn't changed or if someone has done you so wrong, then I don't blame you. And I don't think your spiritual team would ask you to take anyone back. Listen, doesn't mean that you won't be tested. Sometimes people come back just to see if we ourselves have evolved, so we can like say, but this person definitely, I feel like, definitely has evolved. Hello, successful self-employment. Interesting, you have two Virgo cards connected. The Hermit and the Nine of Pentacles are both of Virgo. But this is independent success. Successful self-employment. We had that Eight of Pentacles, when was that? In January, I think. And now we're seeing the fruits of our labor. If we took advantage of that Eight of Pentacles, right? If we took advantage of those epiphanies and those breadcrumbs that I feel like we've been sent, it ultimately does lead you to success. Now, this is independent success. So, who benefits out of this energy, out of your hard work? You do. We have the Page of Wands. Look at that Page of Pentacles, the two pages that we saw. Page of Pentacles under that Queen again. Queen of Pentacles. And then, hello, Queen of Cups. Destiny. The Wheel on the bottom of the deck. You know, everything in divine timing. Sometimes we're at the bottom of the wheel, but when we're at the bottom, we need to look up. I feel like I've been at the bottom. I definitely feel like this person's been at the bottom. I feel like a couple different things here. First of all, I feel like whatever it is that you decide to put your effort into this year, um, and think about that. Whatever you put your effort in is what you're going to grow. But you want to balance life, right? Like don't be all work and no play. And don't be all play and no work. You know, again, because whatever seeds you're planting is what is going to be your harvest. That's why if you go back to the end of the Eight of Pentacles, right, planting that seed of what will be, well, here's the success of it. I feel this all the time, this great energy of a spiritually based business. And again, spiritually based business just means that I do think about, you know, my fellow man. I do think about the underdog. You know, it can be healing hands, healing words. It can be a million different things. Interesting that the Fool is mirroring the Hermit because the Hermit is really about the final reflection, and then the Fool, so I can start new. Now, when I say start new, it doesn't always mean that everything in my life is starting new. It just may mean that something new wants to enter. Listen, it's sitting upon your will. So is this Four of Wands, by the way. And so is the Emperor and the Seven of Swords. All right. You know, I'm looking at the Queen of Pentacles under the Seven of Swords, and I'm thinking to myself, if she's not the one who's carrying or had carried that energy, well, then she's someone who, you know, would see that energy. You know, if you think about the Queen of Pentacles, she's someone who can pick out those details that other people miss. You know, you can't get much by the Queen. And then the Queen of Cups is someone who really appreciates having that special person in their life. I don't need it, but I appreciate it. Now she's marrying this Nine of Pentacles. Now I'm saying she. You know, like I feel like you're the majority of people here. It's just different energies. All right. I feel like some of you. It's interesting because I feel like there are some marriages or proposals or the moving in together pretty early in the year. But I do feel like it's interesting because this is not a year that really speaks about love, so to speak, but it is speaking about love for you. But it's not just speaking about love. Keep that in mind. It's talking about your whole life, like all parts of it. Five of Cups. Okay, we get it. It's like, who is this person? We get it. It's someone that we used to know. It is a soulmate. No doubt about it. We have the Knight of Wands over the Emperor, and then the Star. You over the Seven Swords. Maybe it's your energy. Maybe something had its hooks in you. But honestly, I feel like this is you. At least for some of you, I feel like this is you, like, wishing and praying that someone would be able to overcome, whatever had their hooks in them. And I feel like your prayer is being answered. Now, can I say that's for everyone? I cannot. Um, but in the same, because you know what, we can't control what another does. That's their free will. And but at the same time, I feel like this wish is coming true. This wish is coming true. Come on, lovers. Wow. It's funny. I just did Capricorn's reading and I titled it, So You're My Soulmate, or no, So You're My Twin Flame. But I meant it in a way like, huh? Like you're my twin? You're my soulmate? And I put it that way because, we're human beings, or we're spiritual beings having human experiences, but we forget that we're human, that we're spiritual beings. You know what I mean? And that we really can overcome anything and everything. Now, I can't control another's free will, but my God, do I feel like, well, I feel like God is. The Tower over the Hermit. Look at that, the Ace of Pentacles. So you've had every ace. Ace of Pentacles talks about something coming into your physical world that's going to expand your world. Now, when I look at this ace right down by the nine, or the Nine of Pentacles, add that together, the Ten of Pentacles, the House of Abundance. Maybe that's what I'm looking for this time. Maybe I'm looking for loyalty and trust and that type of energy this time. Maybe I'm looking for an energy that can truly take root, right? I don't feel like, if this is speaking of, like, it is speaking of love. So let's just say the love part of it. I don't feel like I'm just looking for anyone. I'm looking for that longing. Oh my God. Ace of Cups. Right next to the Ace of Pentacles. Unconditional love. Right under the Star. Okay, let's go back for a second though, because the Tower is coming over the Hermit. To me, that makes perfect sense. This is someone who's reflecting upon that Hermit, or reflecting upon that Tower. I feel like in the Tower, someone has taken a fall from grace. It does not mean that someone cannot recover. Maybe it takes time. Maybe it took time. We saw the waiting game, and no way, no how would I tell you to sit around and wait for someone. Those words won't come out of my mouth, because I feel like if someone wants to be with you and you've worked hard on yourself and like you're feeling, pretty good about your life, well, you certainly don't want anybody to come in and mess that up. Right. So, and then I feel like even this Queen of Cups, like, I don't have to have love. It's not like I have to have it, but if I'm going to have it, it needs to be of the highest, at least where I'm vibrating from. I mean, it's like I can't deny this love. So someone definitely has taken a good hard look at themselves, understanding like, the hooks that are in me, the reaction it caused outside of myself and even within myself. And then I feel like the other person, which I feel is you were busy creating. I do feel like there was a period of time of waiting. It's like waiting for water to boil, right? Like it seems like it's never going to boil. Then you walk away and the water starts boiling. So why I'm saying that is I feel like if I just sit there and wait, like it's almost like I plant a seed and instead of nurturing that seed, I'm just watching it. Like, come on, grow, grow, grow. But I'm not watering it. I'm not giving it sunlight. Okay. Wow. Listen, this just isn't any old love. And yes, I want you to do whatever you want to do. So do your guides. However, the message that they're bringing out today, it's so strong. Can people change? Can people heal? They can. If we can, why can't they? Now, they have to want that. But I do feel that that's what they want. It's almost like the losing of you, no matter how long it's been. And I do feel like for some, it's been a while. Doesn't mean that the love for you died. Oh my gosh. Two swords. Mm. There's the Empress again, right over the Nine of Pentacles, right where she belongs. I mean, you want to talk about someone who can create success for herself. Why? Because she believes in herself. She now understands that it is her experiences and the things that she's overcome and the things that she's witnessed that she now is helping others with. I feel like the Empress is naturally meant to help the world. Now, that can be one person or it can be many people. Don't put any like stipulations on yourself of like, okay, well, if I'm not helping the world, then forget this. But though I want you to follow your own passion at the same time. Six of Pentacles. It just feels like the energy of helping the underdog, giving and receiving. Knowing who to give to, knowing why I'm giving. Hmm. All right. Sometimes a reading can look so lovely. We see all these aces, right? We see love all over the place. But what I really want, I feel like as a tarot reader, I really want you to learn to really look at the lessons because it's the lessons that give us the growth, right? Like skipping over like the towers or the seven of swords or the two of swords, it doesn't serve you. Anyway, I don't know what that speech was just about. Look at that, the four of wands right under the ace of cups. And then interesting, the five of wands with the two of swords above it. So there is just a little block. Take a chance or not. It's like your spiritual team is helping to usher in this energy, but ultimately, do you take a chance in it or do you not? Why would I have, first of all, we went from the Eight of Swords down to the Two. So right there, I feel like congratulations. But there's still a little bit of a issue. What's mirroring it? The Tower. Can I let that Tower energy go? Can I allow it to live in the past where it belongs? Now, again, I'm only saying that if this is relating to love, if you feel this person, whether they be new or they be old, if you feel, listen, I mean, you have the Four of Wands twice. You have the Lovers. You have the Two of Cups. You have the Ace of Cups. You had the Ace of Cups twice. You had the Ace of Wands. You have the Star. You have everything of really making this season the best season yet. Just tiny little issues. But I also want you to understand, like, as we moved forward, those issues became less and less and less. So we moved again from that Eight of Swords down to the Two. But your spiritual team is right there. And I understand what it's saying. Like, I just don't want to repeat of what didn't work. Okay. Well, look at what didn't work and what can you learn from that? And again, it's not to say like it's your fault. That's not it. It's what can I look at in all the towers, any tower within my life? How did it happen? Did I know it was going to happen, but I just pretended it wasn't going to? Did I give my power away? Did I have nothing to do with it? You know what I mean? Like, it's just understanding your life as much as you can anyway. This is like, it feels like a second chance in love. And I guess that's got to be up to you. Now, financially, I mean, I just feel like there's no limit for you. There's no limit for you. I feel like wherever you're willing to put your focus, that's what you're going to grow. And I feel like I want you to believe that you can grow it to success. Who is growing it to success? The Empress. The Empress. Because she listens to these epiphanies and she gives birth to them. And lo and behold, not only does she have material wealth, she's got spiritual wealth. Well, that's a vibration that is a combination of quite a happy life. And then you have the Emperor here. The Emperor sitting next to the Four of Wands. Commitment. Love. He's got the Ace of Pentacles connected to him. I want to expand your life. Expand your world. I feel like we're seeing the Emperor because, yes, it can be Aries. But I have to tell you, I feel like here's the Emperor and the Empress again in the same spread. So I feel like also because look what's connecting them, the Ace of Pentacles. So I also feel like this could be great energy of collaboration. How interesting. Like, I feel like the perfect scenario here would be two people who are very much in love, who are very much on the same table as it relates to their spirituality and their material being, their material, um, their careers. And I feel like, can we combine all that? And if we can combine that, which I often feel the Emperor and the Empress can, I always call my power couple because they really fulfill each other. Where the Emperor is miraculous, or I can't think of the word right now, but is someone who truly goes by a plan. The Empress is more, again, I go by energy. Both of them can be great leaders. But man, you put their energy together. Watch out, world. I feel like that may be your title. Watch out, world. Aquarius is coming to the table strong. I definitely feel some of you are going to be in a committed relationship by March. Committed relationship. Some of you may be saying, I do. Some of you may be proposing. I feel the evolution of the love can go to the very highest, but I also feel that with your money. And right here is the wheel. Destiny. You can say no to all of it. That's up to you. You can say yes to all of it. That's up to you. You can say yes to some. Maybe I'm gonna, I am gonna take this energy from my spirit guides as it relates to creating wealth for myself, creating a true stability for myself. And maybe that's all I care about. I don't care about love right now. That's okay. You can say no. I do feel like there's someone that, even if you say no, because I feel like your heart is also yearning. But doesn't guarantee us anything, right? Um, Best way to guarantee yourself anything is think about, where are you vibrating from? Think of the law of attraction. And then don't create those barriers, those walls, those blindfolds. Trust in your own energy to be the measure of something good or something not so good. And don't overthink it. All right, guys, I think I'm going to leave it there. Um, I do feel like I want to read at least one of Mother Mary's cards, and I feel like what I want to read is blessings. And I'll tell you with the marriage card, what it really talks about in here is the opportunity for the potential of healing over a marriage or a relationship. But it also talks at the end about unmarried people and the potential of a new love, coming into your life. Now, a new love can be an old love who's coming in a new type of energy, a more enhanced, the better version. All right, blessings. You received this card as a reminder of the power of gratitude. Perhaps you've been feeling sorry for yourself lately, or feeling as if God has forgotten about you. Mother Mary reminds you that your prayers are answered in many different ways and guides you to notice all the gifts and blessings you already have. Sometimes shifting your focus from what's wrong to what's right can make you notice new blessings that have been previously overlooked. This is a card of optimism, asking you to purposefully and consciously focus upon everything and everyone that you're grateful for. You can make a mental or written list daily, ideally, to train your mind to notice all the gifts you already have. By doing so, you're more likely to notice the new ones coming your way. This card also signals that new blessings are entering your life as answered prayers. Amen. All right, guys, I'm gonna leave it there. Um, it's interesting because the further, like, you are now, I think Pisces is the last reading I have to do, and it's funny because when I started, like, I started at Aries, they were much shorter, and now as I'm ending this series, they're becoming longer and longer and longer. But I felt like that's what your reading needed, so I'm more than happy to do that. So I thank you. I want to thank you very quickly for just all the ways you supported my channel in 2023. I am so grateful for you all, truly. I want to thank you for your beautiful donations. It is what keeps the majority of tarot readers on YouTube. I'm sure there's some that's making tons of money, but the majority of us aren't. So those donations help greatly. We do put a lot of, and I'm saying we, it's only because I know other readers who do like these long form readings, and it is everything, right? It's like every piece of meat comes out. And I do need a break afterwards. But anyway, long story short, I thank you for your donations. Truly. Um, I thank you for becoming a subscriber. I thank you for those who've been with me, whether it's just been for a short period of time or from the very beginning. I thank you. Um, I know that I wouldn't be here on YouTube without you. I know that. So thank you. Um, Very quickly, I am running, I was running a special. I called it a holiday special where it was a buy one, get one free. It's an awesome special and it's an awesome gift to give someone. But that second reading, you can keep for yourself. I don't care. You know what I mean? And I have extended it for a couple days because I just felt it was a little unfair that, the signs that I didn't get done never got the opportunity to hear about the special. And some people have reached out like, I didn't even know you had one. So I have decided I'm going to extend it until probably a couple days once I'm done with Pisces. Because once I'm done with this series, I think that's when I'll end that special, which should be in the next couple days. So buy one, get one free. You can give one away. And if you give one away, the way I would handle it, you handle it any way you want, but I would, like let them know they have a free reading coming to them, and then they can send me their questions, or you can send me the question, however you want to handle that. Now, if you decide to keep the second one for yourself, which I have no problem with, the only stipulation is I do ask that you wait for 4 months. And one of the reasons why is because a personal reading is so in depth, and they are usually about 2 hours long. So, if I'm doing my job right, I don't feel like you need another reading for at least 4 months. So that's one of the reasons why I put that stipulation out there because I just feel like, a personal reading should give you definitely the information to cover you at least for 4 months. There is no expiration date, so I'll just have documentation that you have a free reading coming. I do my books very well. I am a Virgo. So, anyways, I have that going on. I just want to let you know. I should have said that in the beginning of the reading, because probably the majority of people are gone by now. Anyways, I hope you stuck around to the end because holy cow, quite amazing. Um, I don't know. Like, this is what I'm finding because I'm breaking them down into seasonal readings. It's almost like I cannot wait to do your spring. By the way, make sure that, first of all, that you're subscribed, but also that you ring that bell for 100% of the notifications. Because if you don't ring that bell, you could miss your spring very easily. You know, YouTube is not good. So one thing they're not good at, is notifying, you know, the people who are subscribed to your channel. Even when I go live. So make sure your bell's on, because when I go live, which I feel like I'm going to do in a couple days, you can ask anything when I'm doing those type of readings. So, what I do is I leave a community note that I'm going live, and I try to do it a couple hours before I actually go live, or I'll do it the day before. Um, and I owe my membership, my those who are in my membership program. We skipped last week, but it was a holiday, so. But I think I might leave it to everyone again. So yeah, I may. Just for the holiday season. You know what I mean? Um, and just again, I have so much gratitude for everything that you guys have done for me. Literally, I wouldn't have this computer if it wasn't for you. I don't know if you guys remember, but my other computer crashed. Just boom, gone. And therefore, my business, except for what I do in my home. So, anyway, anyway, I'm gonna let that be. I love you guys. What a reading. I hope this is one of those readings you're going to put in your back pocket because, it may not all make sense in the beginning, but holy love and holy wealth. I mean, it's like this 8 universal year, it is working in your favor. It is definitely working in your favor. All right, guys, I love you, and I will see you next time at our table. Bye bye.